Hey guys, what's up? Sorry that I'm recording this with a video game playing in the background, but having some stuff that I'm working out with my camera and lighting, so while I get that worked out, I might as well just make this a video. Well, not video, but it is a video, but I'm doing a voice recording and I'm putting it over video game footage, so I hope you're happy with that. Damn it. By the way, the footage you're seeing is of a game that I had kickstarted quite some time ago and have been having fun with. River City Ransom Underground. I like it. It's pretty good. I'm not saying it's perfect. It has a few flaws. And not to mention it had a little bit of trouble because of that whole Alex Mauer insanity, which forced them to have to scrap their whole soundtrack and do a whole new one. But that's been taken care of, and the new soundtrack for the game actually sounds pretty good, and I'm enjoying the game again, as is. But yeah, that's neither here or there. I'm talking about something else. I'm not talking about this game, but in case you're wondering what is playing in the background, that's what it is. So, the topic is video game related, but I'm using video games to bring up some other point, and you probably already got a hint of what I'm about to talk about with the title already, but let me just get on with it, and hopefully you guys will see the point that I'm trying to make. It should be no surprise that I like playing video games. I mean, well, hell, you see evidence of this on your screen right now. If you didn't already get a hint of this from watching my other videos where I talk about this sort of thing. And I get the impression that a good number of you guys who watch my videos like playing video games too. So because of that, I get the feeling that you guys also happen to pay a lot of attention to video game based news. You know, stuff that tends to influence or impact the industry, or things that are happening with the industry and with the culture surrounding, you know, this little hobby of ours. And one of the things that has been concerning people recently is all the craziness going on with loot boxes. Loot boxes aren't necessarily anything new, but they've seemed to have really gotten nuts with it in the latter half of this year. At least the so-called AAA industry has been going nuts with it, to the point where people are beginning to realize, or at least they're saying, that it's now tantamount to gambling. For anyone who has no clue what I'm talking about, lately a lot of video games have been coming up with this concept called loot boxes, where for some money, whether currency that you can earn in game or most likely, you know, real currency, you can buy this stuff. A loot box is basically a digital package where you don't know what you're going to get. You spend a certain amount of money and you get this digital package that you open up and you get stuff. You don't necessarily know what that stuff's going to be. It could be some simple cosmetic items, or it could actually be a costume that you want your character to wear, a certain outfit, a certain skin for your character or your weapon. It could be a better weapon. You don't know. It depends on the game, what type of game you're playing, and just how crass the publisher or developer might be if they decide that the game that you're playing needs pay-to-win elements in it, which is another concept that a lot of gamers are pissed off about. But it basically tickles the whole gambling funny bone. Like, it's a really horrible analogy. They'll ignore that. But you know what I'm trying to get at. It basically seems to touch the whole gambling aspect of things when you're paying for money and you're not exactly sure what you're going to get, but you're hoping it's something that you want. You're hoping to get that winning item, or you're hoping to get that limited edition item in that box. And sure enough, yes, there are certain items that are more rare than others, or more valuable than others, or certain things that you really want to get. And you can get that if you're willing to take a chance with your money. Now, this definitely, you know, should raise some concerns with people, because that is pretty much like gambling, where you know, the whole thing of, did you get it? Did you get it? Nah, man. Oh, well, try again. It's just a couple of bucks. Try again. Okay, maybe I got another chance again. Oh, man, it didn't happen this time, but maybe it'll happen next time. Try it again. It's only a few bucks. Go on. And, like, the industry's been going nuts with this lately. I think you guys get the point what this is about, you know, what loot boxes are. And these things are being inserted into games which already have a $60 or $65 price tag. Like, it's one thing to see these sorts of things being done for so-called free-to-play games, where you don't have to pay to play, but in order to enhance your experience, they expect some money, and the company's like, well, I gotta make the money somewhere. And while people don't like seeing that stuff in free-to-play games, they understand why it's there. There's some justification for it. But when you see this in a game that already has a $60 price tag, that's when people are screaming foul. And this stuff's been going rampant. It really got popular with Overwatch, and now we're seeing this in a bunch of other games. The latest game being, at the time of this recording, the latest game was Battlefront 2, which has been raising I mean, people have really been pissed off about this, the type of loot box crap that have been throwing in with Battlefront 2. I'm not going to get into it in this video because I've already wasted 5 minutes without even getting close to my point. And if you really want to know, just look it up on YouTube. You'll find out just how mad people are over this and why they're mad about it. So mad to the point where EA, the publishing company that put this game out, has been losing share value over this. Like their share value has been dropping over this. So they've temporarily taken out loot boxes, and they say they're going to quote unquote, you know, fix the problem, you know, and then you know it's going to come back in some other later date in a new way that they hope gamers are going to swallow. But this is the latest blow up. And this is on top of some other practices that video game companies have been doing. Microtransactions is the other big thing, where you can buy all these extra stuff, all these extra costumes, extra items. You can buy these things more directly instead of it just being a straight up loot box. And that also gets video game players pissed off, or gamers I should say, because gamers pissed off when they see this in a game that they already paid money for. I mean, if you're already paying $60, $70, sometimes even up to $100, depending on what version of the game you buy. And that's the other thing. Now they're selling more than one version of a game. You can buy a base version, you can buy a deluxe version, you can buy your limited edition version, and all these things have different price tags and different goodies attached to it. And then on top of it, they want you to pay for other little things as you're playing the game. New maps, new characters, new features, all these other things that you used to be able to get for just one price tag. And now on top of that, they're throwing loot boxes as well. It's all the so-called AAA industry that's been doing stuff like this. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that all these particular things, which sound like rather anti-consumer ideas and just really rampant unethical business practices, this is the sort of thing that's making certain gamers finally start saying, you know what? We need to have some regulation on this. Something's got to give. We got to come up with some type of laws or some type of regulation to really rein all this stuff in. This stuff's got to be illegal, right? Like, especially the loot box stuff. I'm hearing this a lot with the loot box thing, how it pretty much is bordering on gambling, if it's not outright gambling. I mean, it's not gambling in the legal sense, but as far as the ideas are concerned, the concept of the gist of it, like the mechanics of what's going on, yeah, it's gambling. So people are like, you know, the Trade Commission sooner or later is going to be stepping in on this, and that's going to get regulated. And some people are talking about whether that's going to be a good thing or not, but the one thing that they're saying is inevitable, or the thing that needs to be done, is someone's got to rein these companies in. Something's got to give. And I find that interesting. The fact that there are gamers who are calling for regulation, or who are at the very least saying, oh, regulation is going to have to step in. This is going too far. These practices have been going way too far. I find that interesting considering how many right-wing voices have lately been popping up all over video game conversation. And when you talk to these people politically or economically, and you talk to them about whether regulation should be in place, they're usually the first to say no, especially when it comes to markets. Oh, we shouldn't regulate that at all. We should let the markets decide. Okay, fine, I guess. But then once it comes to video games, it's funny how those arguments disappear. But I don't really hear, especially these days, I don't really hear too much being said about letting the market decide when it comes to these unethical business practices. And for good reason. Because the market isn't really deciding something that's going to be ethical and good for consumers. It isn't. And we all know it. And that's what I find interesting. Because I think if people who like talking about the free market politically, or who want to talk about regulations, if they want a good example of what happens when you don't properly regulate businesses, the video game industry is a very good place to look. It really is. Let's look at this from a different angle, or look at a different example of what I'm talking about. Let's look at Valve and Steam. This is another huge quagmire to talk about, isn't it? Like, anybody who's been PC gaming for a while knows the mess that is Steam these days, which has been going on for a very long time. It's been going on for several years now, the mess that is the Steam marketplace. Steam pretty much is a place where any type of garbage that pretends to be a video game can be sold there. And it takes a hell of a lot of noise in order for those bad games to go away. In fact, it's a place that not only can a lot of garbage products be put up in the store for sale, with no regulation whatsoever as to what gets put up and what doesn't, but there are even straight up money-making schemes and scams that were possible on Steam for a little while. With the whole trading card thing that was going on, an achievement thing going on with Steam. That's something else that I'd rather dedicate to another video, but suffice to say, there was something going on, like some mechanics going on with the whole trading card aspect of Steam that garbage developers would use it to make an extra amount of money while putting up a product that barely counts as a game. And to add insult to injury, many of these particular developers were also very anti-consumer and even hostile to people who were paying them money for very substandard products. You know, even some of them going so far as to threaten to sue some of these people or like have lawsuits against customers for just daring to say that the games suck. Imagine going to a Walmart and buying a vacuum cleaner, and you go home and you find out that the vacuum cleaner sucks, or, well, in this case, doesn't suck. Let's say the vacuum cleaner, it just doesn't work, all right? And so you decide to angrily state online that don't buy this product from Give Me More Money Vacuums, because Give Me More Money Vacuums make vacuum cleaners that don't work. They don't work at all. They're horrible products. 1 star. And then you later on see the CEO of said vacuum cleaner company saying, how dare you say that about our stuff? You're messing with our artistic vision. We're going to sue you. You say anything bad again, and we'll have a lawsuit on you for defamation. That would be unheard of, right? And people would even go, why would Walmart have such an insane freaking company sell products in their store? You wouldn't see that sort of thing, but it's certainly happening in video games, and it's definitely happening on the Steam storefront. It was bad enough when it was using Greenlight to bring in independently made games. They got rid of Greenlight, and they got some new thing on there now. I think it's called Steam Direct. And that has not stopped things. And if anything, it seems to be getting worse. You have certain pundits on YouTube pointing these bad developers out and these bad games out. And in fact, they've now pretty much made a career, or is a major part of their career now, not just talking about the gaming industry, but just straight up just exposing these horrible games, sometimes for entertainment, sometimes for news, usually for a mix of both. But the point is, this stuff is like, it's insane. You don't see other companies doing this, like for other industries. You don't see this sort of thing happening, for instance, with the automobile industry. You know, where if a car is horrible and you say anything bad about that, the company will threaten to sue you for defamation. You, the customer that paid them, you're like, how dare you say that about a product? And you certainly, at least as far as I know, I mean, yeah, we can talk about certain, we could probably dig deep into the auto industry and see some unethical things. The connection with the oil industry comes to mind, but overall, you don't necessarily see them like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put out this garbage car, but this garbage car happens to tap into a smaller subset of the industry that if we pimp on enough of these really cheap garbage cars, we'll make money over something else. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you guys can come up with a ridiculous example, but I think you see what the point I'm getting at. These other industries have certain regulations in place to keep this type of crap from happening. But you don't see it with the video game industry. You certainly don't see it with Valve and Steam. And so Steam has gotten so messed up that people have been screaming for Steam to freaking regulate their own damn page. Regulate your own freaking market. Regulate your own damn store. Have somebody who can look at these things and like, does this count as a game? Does this thing even work? And even if it works, is it stealing somebody else's copyright? Is it like, you know, like for instance, all the Unity bought asset stuff that's been going on, where you see people straight up literally ripping off demo games or freaking tutorials from other games and making it their own damn game, or pretty much making the same game over and over but giving it a different name and then selling it back to you. You see this sort of thing on Steam all the time. You'd think that somebody human would be looking at this and going, ah, that don't fly. What the fuck, dude? No one is. And so people have been screaming for some type of real regulation to happen on Steam for years. Hasn't been happening yet, and it's been pissing people off. And yet, I'm pretty sure if I asked some of these guys who are asking for regulations on Steam, if their politics happen to lean right, and these days I'm seeing a lot of right-wing people claiming that they care about video games, if I ask them about whether you should regulate the market in general, no, let the market decide. Well, we see what happens when you let the market decide on Steam. This shit's getting through. Now, I'm sure some people are going to be going, well, the market is deciding. We got people on YouTube pointing these things out and people aren't buying them. To an extent, yeah, but it doesn't stop these bad products from continuing to be made, and it doesn't stop from getting onto the store, and it doesn't stop these bad products from stifling and even crippling things for legit games. In fact, it's gotten to the point that recently I found out that certain independent developers are rathering to put their games on the freaking Nintendo Switch than on Steam because they have a better chance of making money on that console than on the PC. Let that sink in for a moment. Independent developers, indies, not AAA guys, are saying that they have a better chance to make their money on a Nintendo console than on the PC, which is supposed to be a freer market. They're saying they have a better chance of making it there because their games actually have a better chance of getting noticed. While on Steam, it's too crowded with garbage for their games to stand out. This is what happens with a market that isn't regulated. And when you consider that many of these people who are putting out these garbage products being made by hostile developers who are willing to go so far as to threaten their consumer base if you say anything bad about them. Yeah. There's a reason why people want regulation, folks. And there's a reason why people say that things would get rough if you don't regulate. Which is why I find it funny when we start talking about things politically or economically. No, regulation's bad, let the market decide. You have a real life example of what happens. One more thing I'm going to add before I cut this off because it's gotten long enough already. I'm putting this out just to get people to think about this shit. People have to realize that when it comes to marketing, it's kind of a science. People who market products and sell things to you, they actually look at what it takes to trick you to forking over your money. They look at the weaknesses of the human mind, how it works, how they can tap into that impulse you have to get something. Like what makes you want to just reach out and just grab, I need it, I need to get it. That irrational need to just fork over your cash. They want to tap into that. They don't want to tap into the logic centers of your brain. They don't want to tap into the part that goes, is this a good purchase or not? I heard this about this product. I heard that about this product. Let me compare notes. These features seem better than that feature. I think this is the better product. No, they don't want you to do that. They want you to go, oh, I need it. I have to have it. That's why so many products, when it boils down to it, they sell it in a way that says, if you buy this product, you'll be cool. If you buy this product, you'll be sexy. If you buy this product, you're going to be the first person to have the really cool product that everybody else wants. Or if you better hurry up and get this product because it's soon going to be gone. You don't want to be the guy who doesn't have it, do you? That's how they sell their shit. And it just taps into that part of your brain that irrationally wants something. And usually that part wins over the logic part. A good example of that would be Diablo 3. I remember when Diablo 3 was first coming out. I'm a huge Diablo fan. Huge! I can make a long video just talking about how I got into the series and how much I love it. So when I first heard that Diablo 3 was coming out, I went nuts. I couldn't wait for that game. I was even giving people that tagline I usually do. Once that game comes out, you're not going to be seeing me for a few months. Say your goodbyes now. Whatever you want to do with me, do it now. Because once that game comes out, I might as well be dead to you for the next 3-4 months. Then I heard about some of the shit that was going to happen with Diablo 3. There were several things that pissed me off, but the main things that pissed me off was all the DRM shit that they were doing, i.e., oh, we're going to always be connected to a central server. Why? There's no reason for that. Well, there was a reason, which taps into the main reason why. The whole auction house shit. They put in this auction house so that they can make real money off of digital products. It's kind of funny, by the way. It's Activision Blizzard that came up with the auction house idea so they can sell digital products to people so they can basically play to win. Oh, I'm not going to do what normally is done in Diablo. The main premise of Diablo is to actually play the game and fight the monsters to get the loot you want. The whole point is to go through the challenge of beating the monsters to get the loot and say, I beat this monster and got this really cool loot. Now it's, no, I can just go to the auction house and buy this shit. And then just run through the game. And of course the whole game was built around that, so that means if you were trying to do this fairly, it took freaking forever. Because they wanted you to spend money in the auction house instead. So the grind was even grindier. And it took even longer to get some of those legendary items that you really, really wanted. Huh. Interesting that the same guys who then first came with really championed the whole loot box idea in Overwatch years later, but whatever. Anyway, that sort of shit made me go, fuck this. I'm not getting this game. And I noticed several other people were also saying, what the fuck? Always online, DRM garbage, auction house, that's not Diablo, fuck that, I'm not getting this. Game came out, sold 6 million fucking copies. I think I'm the only freaking person on the planet that didn't buy that game. I still don't have the game. I know they improved the gameplay, and I know they got rid of the auction house, and I'm thinking about getting it now, but I'm just letting you know, all the way up until now, I haven't bought it. But I'm probably one of the only people on the damn planet who's a Diablo fan who didn't buy that freaking game on principle. Does this make it that, oh, I got a better will than everybody else? That I'm better than you, I'm stronger than you mentally? No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it makes perfect sense that that game sold 6 million copies because it's Diablo 3. You want Diablo 3. This game's getting hyped up. Remember that huge hype that came around the game? I was caught up in it for a bit. It's Diablo 3. When that game comes out, everyone's going to be playing it. Do you want to miss out? Do you want to miss out on the hype? That game's coming. Look how cool this character is. Look how cool the art direction is. Look how awesome the attacks are. You want to miss out on that? You want to be the guy who years later is playing it when everybody else had already played it? You want to miss out on the excitement? You better get this is the biggest game coming out on PC. You're gonna buy this game. You need to buy this game. And so it was bought. They hooked into that. I need to get this limited edition shit. I need to get it. I need to get it on the hype now. I need to grab it. 6 million copies and climbing. Of course, later on when they realized that the game wasn't as good as they thought, that 6 million, the player base dropped down considerably in under 1 month. That's why they later on had to scramble to get rid of the auction house. Just saying. Among other things that they did to try to keep interest. And lately they haven't even been supporting the game as much at all. The latest thing they did, which was pleasant, it was a cool idea when they finally threw the Necromancer in. But the support Diablo 3 is getting, not nearly as much support as, say, Hearthstone's been getting or Overwatch has been getting, because those games, the money continues to pour in. Because they would rather focus on a product that gets you to keep forking over cash than a product that you just pay for once and it's a solid, complete freaking game. And again, those games that make you constantly fork over the cash after you've already paid the introductory price, the way they do it is by hooking into that irrational part of you. Get these limited edition cards. Spend the extra money for the loot boxes, so you keep on spending and spending. It's again, that whole Skinner box shit. This is what I'm talking about. These sorts of practices, which pretty much border on the unethical. Which I would say they're straight up unethical. But it takes a strong mind, or just a straight up antisocial jackass version of a mind, like mine, to just go, fuck that, I'm not going to be a part of it. But not everybody can do that, because they tap into that part of the brain that makes you want to jump in on it. It's part of the reason why, for instance, they always have that microtransaction tab on the bottom of your screen. Sooner or later, you're going to click on it. And what's the excuse they always give? You don't have to do it. It's optional. You don't have to buy the items in the auction house. It's optional. You don't have to get the microtransactions in this latest Call of Duty game. It's optional. You don't have to get the loot boxes. It's optional. You don't have to buy them. It's just there for fun. You know, if you feel like forking over the cash, you know, you want to spice your game up a little, what's the harm? You don't have to buy them. It's just there if you want to, you know. So buy them. Now buy more. You could buy another one. Come on, it's only $2, $3, $4, maybe $5. It's not that much. You know how much you'd probably spend over in Starbucks. Why don't you buy it for something a little bit more fun? So come on, do it. Do it. Fucking do it! That's why it's there. Do this shit. That's why that thing's there. It's a tick in your mind. It's a splinter in your mind. It's there, tempting you, always flashing. You don't have to do it. Just like you don't have to throw another roll of the dice at the craps table in the fucking casino. You could always walk away. It's optional. This is what I mean. This is the sort of shit that makes people go, we gotta regulate this shit. Because the market isn't gonna be able to get rid of that shit. Somebody's gotta regulate it. I hope you guys have seen the point I'm trying to make. I'm not too sure if I'm doing a good, clear example of it. But this is the sort of shit that I want people to think about. These little games that these companies have lately been doing to milk you out of your cash unethically. Putting these little tidbits there to fork over just a little more. Microtransactions, loot boxes. These sorts of things that, yeah, you don't have to do it, but you find yourself doing it anyway. And you're not exactly sure why. Because you're tapping into that irrational part of your brain that just needs to scratch that itch. I call it like that last donut at breakfast syndrome. You know, like you ever been at a big breakfast, whether you made it yourself or you're at a hotel or a restaurant or something, there's that last donut or that last croissant or that last piece of toast, just the last thing at breakfast that you eat it because it's there. You didn't really want it, but you do it anyway because it's there. That's the only reason. You're already full. Then you look at that piece and you go, huh, be ashamed to let that go to waste. I really don't want it. I really shouldn't have it, but it is tasty. Ah, why not? Then you end up with a slight stomachache for the rest of the morning. Yeah, you regretted it, but you're gonna eat that last donut at breakfast the next morning, aren't you? Now, how insidious is it if a company decides to tap into that particular part of the brain to make you do more shit, to make you fork over more money? That's why people are asking for regulation in video game matters. Regulate the Steam storefront to keep these scammers from coming up with garbage games. Regulate the video game industry to keep these gambling aspects from happening, because this is what happens when you let companies run amok. They're too greedy, and we know they're greedy. And yet, with the rest of business, no, regulation's bad. Let the market decide. Anybody seen the dichotomy here? Is it just me? Am I the only one laughing at the dichotomy here? Alright, this has gone way longer than I wanted it to. This was actually supposed to be 15 minutes, but I just kept blabbing and blabbing and blabbing and blabbing, so I apologize for that. If you hate the video for the length, you certainly can. So, and besides, I didn't do this video to come up with a straight up point. Like, straight up, I am right, therefore you should no, I'm saying, think about this. If you play video games, chances are you want these unethical practices, these anti-consumer practices, to be regulated in some form or fashion. You want something to be done, and you know that gamers themselves, as much as we keep saying power to the gamers, this, that, and that, and this, all these games that are doing these unethical practices, they just keep on selling, despite the fact that we're like, who likes EA? Really? No one likes EA. EA continues to be $1 billion freaking company. They're making their money, putting out games that we hate what they're doing to them, but we buy them anyway, unless you happen to be, a complete stubborn bastard like me, and there aren't that many like me. And again, I'm not saying that I'm superior. No, I'm a bit more stubborn than others. It's not a good trait. It's just a trait. I'm just like, no, fuck that. Fuck that. No, I ain't gonna do that. I feel insulted by it. But I've also seen, and hell, even there's other things that I'll be like, what the hell did you just? And I'll fork over the money anyway. I got a weakness on other things. Some people it's video games. Me, it's Chinese food or tea. That's the point I'm trying to make. There's something that's going to make you irrationally do something wrong. That's why we have rules. That's why we have regulations. To keep people from exploiting that. And that's the point I'm trying to make. I hope you see my point. It should be interesting what you guys have to say in the comment section. I apologize for this being just under half an hour. Catch you guys later.